They have been called the epitome of evil and MS-13 on steroids, and now new arrest data shows the dangerous Venezuelan gang. Tren de Aragua is behind an escalating crime wave across the U.S. with gang members accused of murders, assaults, and sex trafficking. One state's former ICE director told the Daily Mail, quote, MS-13, they were never organized. Tren de Aragua is a transnational criminal organization from the bottom to the top. These guys right here in the U.S., they're sending money back to leaders in Venezuela. They've set up shop like a corporation. What it took MS-13 to do in like a 10-year period, Tren de Aragua has been able to do in less than a year. Joining us now to discuss is Mark Morgan, the former Acting Commissioner of Customs and Border Protection and visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation. Good morning to you, Mark. Great to see you. Officials say Venezuela's most violent gang is actually headquartered now just across the border in the Mexican town of Ciudad Juarez. How well organized are they here in the U.S., and how is law enforcement dealing with this invasion, Mark?
Yeah, very important. Look, there are other gangs like MS-13 that did and still does have a degree of sophistication and organization. The big difference between those organizations and TDA is that TDA has existed as a transnational organization for a while. So they've already become adept at operating in a transnational environment. All they simply needed was an effective way and foothold into the United States. And that's exactly what the Biden-Harris open border policies have provided them. First, it was the southern border. We saw for the first year and a half, Venezuelans were among the emerging group that were flooding across our open borders. And then, not to really address the crisis, but just the bad political optics, they didn't stop the flow. What they did is they unlawfully used parole. And for the past 2.5 years, they've allowed Venezuela to be one of 4 countries to fly into one of 45 airports. And so that's what we've seen. This is a direct result. And the big difference is here, what I do agree with the individual you spoke about is that we've seen TDA expand across this country. They're now operating in 15 major metropolitan cities. They've spread faster than any other transnational gang that we've seen. And the issue is there's 2 absurd issues to this. One is we can't vet them. So we don't know whether they're a gang member or not before they're being allowed to fly into one of 45 airports, are allowed to come in through the southwest border. And law enforcement right now, they're stuck because, Jan, all they can do now is react. And every single TDA gang member that they arrest, the next day, there's 10 more to take their place. That's the reality.
I think it's important, too, what this former ICE director said, how they are set up like a corporation. From the bottom to the top, they're sending money back to leaders in Venezuela.
Yeah, again, MS-13, we've seen this before. MS-13 is a very prolific transnational organization as well. So I don't necessarily agree with his comment that they weren't organized. What I do agree with him is that this TDA is already organized. It took MS-13 a while to get as organized as they have become. That, I think he's spot on. That's what makes TDA more shockingly terrifying. And it makes it harder for law enforcement because they are so organized right out of the gate. We're playing catch up already. And again, local law enforcement, Jan, the only thing they can do right now is react because the Biden and Harris administration have continued to allow the floodgates open, and they're allowing more TDA gang members into this country every single day.
Yeah, to your point, Border Patrol President Paul Perez calling out Kamala Harris for her rally in Houston, all while Texas braced for another large migrant caravan on the way from Mexico. Here's what he had to say.
But I want to talk about the person that's going to be coming to Houston tonight, not to apologize or highlight illegal alien crime, but to party like a fool on stage with celebrities.
I know you've talked to Border Patrol agents. Those at the top of the agency. How worried are they for the next 4 years if this border invasion continues?
Well, they're beyond worried. I mean, they just know, right, that the issue is they know that mentally they can't sustain another 4 years of the chaos and lawlessness of the border. Every single day, Jan, they're getting up and they're not allowed to do the job that they signed up to secure, defend, and protect their border. They've literally been transformed from a law enforcement national security mission to a processing enterprise. I mean, one of the analogies I can give you, it's literally like a fire department. Where their fire trucks and fire engines have been taken away. And then they've told that, well, once they get to a fire, they can't actually put the fire out. They've got to wait and let the building burn to the ground. And now all they are is a recovery enterprise. I mean, that's the equivalent of what they've experienced. They know every single day that the cartels are gaining more operational control of the border. They know every single day, because they're in offices processing millions of illegal aliens, that they're not on the front lines actually patrolling the border, and that criminals, drugs, and national security threats are getting across every single day. That's a heck of a burden for somebody that signed up to do the opposite for them to live with, and that's why they're fed up.
Former Acting Commissioner of Customs and Border Protection and visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation, Mark Morgan. Great to see you, sir.
You bet.